What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
I'm Jason.
And you're listening to Liquid Carnage.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Hey, man, it's been a minute. You've been busy. I've been busy.
I've been very busy.
It feels good to be behind the mics again.
Exactly. I feel like we have been missing out on this opportunity to kind of talk about today's topics.
Man, it's such a great venting
reach out
point
to
for
our
me.
group, our friends, and our family out there.
And the upside is not being able to talk as much is now we have more things to talk about here because we can actually catch up on the show and talk about some of those zany things that happen to us in life. Not that we're the most interesting guys in the world, but sometimes you find those topics like, what the fuck is that?
Well, you and I are very social people, so we
Yes.
talk to people all the time.
Yes.
I have to tell you, though, I was talking to a friend of mine who has not found the right person for their life.
Okay.
And
You mean like a best friend or like a relationship partner?
No, it wasn't. They haven't found the relationship partner. They're not looking for a best friend. They're looking for a relationship partner.
Wouldn't that be one and the same if you find the right partner?
Nah, maybe. She was looking for things that were out there, and I said, well, maybe I can help you, because I have a couple single friends. Maybe there's something I can do.
And you're a very attentive guy to talking to people and getting to know them for what they're looking for.
I have an amazing ability of people telling me things that they may not tell a priest, but they would tell me.
You ask a lot. You ask all the right questions.
I do.
Which is why I'm glad you're the planner here on the show. So you can plot out our guests, and I can just fly by the seat of my pants and ask what their favorite drink is and get just as far, just on a different level.
So I'm talking to this person, and they start talking about things they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And obviously they're
You're talking about in a relationship.
In a relationship. They're looking for a new person to be in a relationship with, so they're talking about what they're looking for. And I've asked them, what are you looking for?
Almost like they're deal breakers, like a past podcast.
A past podcast of deal breakers. So obviously a job, the keys. They don't have to necessarily be super good looking, but they have to be not deformed.
Yeah.
The regulars.
Quasimodo.
The regulars.
Need not apply.
They need to have a sense of humor, and this person has a very quirky sense of humor, so they need to be someone that can handle a quirky sense of humor. And then they need to be okay with them being a virgin.
Oh. So, okay.
Virgin. Now,
that's a whole new twist on what you're looking for here.
Yeah. Because my initial thought was that this went from 10 million guys to 4.
Let me ask you, maybe 4.
Maybe 5.
Let me ask you this question then, just so I can clarify. Okay. This person you're talking about, is she a little bit younger on the professional scale, or is she established in the professional scale? Are we talking about someone that's in their early 20s or someone that's past the age of 27 and on up?
My understanding is, because that was a question, was what age range is your wheelhouse? We've talked about that.
The wheelhouse, half your age plus 7.
Half your age plus 7. This person is in their 30s.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Ultimately, I'm looking at this person, and this person's not an ugly person per se. This person isn't someone that I would say, would have a trouble finding a person of the opposite sex, or maybe even of the same sex. I'm assuming they want opposite sex because at some point they do want to have kids. So, yeah. But it got me. Assume that today, though. It got me thinking. In today's world, the idea of someone who has not lost their virginity and also being in their 30s.
That's a unicorn.
That's
a unicorn.
Yeah. So I started doing my research. And you know me, I love to do some research.
Oh my God, you have lists that have lists that build lists. I do have lists.
The average age of the person in the United States who has sex for the first time is surprising. It's 17.
That surprises you?
It does.
Does it seem high or seem low to you?
It seems little low.
That seems a little high to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so
by today's standards.
Okay.
And just for our audience clarification, I'm 9 years younger than you?
Yes.
I'm 36. You're 45.
I'll be 45 next week.
Next week, you'll be 45 in a week here. So maybe times have changed that much from the early 90s to the mid 90s, late 90s when we were in high school. I was in high school to what the average age of virginity versus what it is today.
See, I thought the number was low. I would have expected the number to be higher.
Well, yeah, in 1957, absolutely.
No, I would expect the number to be higher even now.
Really?
Yeah.
Like an older person for virginity?
No, I would just thought they would have been maybe 18, 19. I guess I was assuming 18 or 19.
I don't think so, man. I feel like kids now are, because sex is so out there with the internet and it's so readily available to learn about. I feel like, I'm hearing stories about kids having sex at 12 and 13, and that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's okay.
You know,
so are you above or below the number?
I was above the number.
So you're above the number.
I was above the average age of 17. I was a late bloomer, though.
Yeah, see,
I was very much a late bloomer.
I was below the number.
But you grew up in Alaska. And what have you always told me? There's four things to do in Alaska.
4 things to do in Alaska: hunt, fish, drink, and screw. And I don't hunt or fish.
And you didn't drink at that time either. So there's one option left.
I did drink a little bit. In fact,
maybe that's how I got down.
There were some long nights. There were some long nights.
The moose still don't talk about it.
Okay, so that's what. So I will say this: I had one relation at 16.
Mm-hmm.
My next physical relation was at 19, and I resulted in a child.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda, my daughter, is now 25. My next physical sexual encounter was after I turned 21 and learned that alcohol helps.
And hinders.
And helps. It helps. So I had it, so that's the other thing too, is if you lose your virginity, but then you don't have sex for 5 years after that.
You get it back. I've heard if you go longer than 6 months, it's like a second virginity, sometimes third or fourth.
I guess the thing is that the virginity taught me that other things about sex that I do like, and so I took care of it myself.
I don't need a woman. I can figure this out for myself at half the cost.
So the average age is 17, and actually between the ages of 20 and 24, there's 12% of females and 14% of males are still virgins before the age of 24. It really doesn't start becoming a stigma until after the age of 25. Between the ages of 25 and 29, about 5% of the population are virgins, and then it dwindles all the way down to 0.3% are still virgins after the age of 40 to 45.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it does dwindle down. So the mid-20s seems to be a good time that people start losing their virginity.
Yeah, but if you get past your mid-20s, if you don't have, what's the best way to put it? I'm trying to think of the most political and nicest way to put it, but there's no real way to put it.
No.
I think you scare people at a certain point, because it's to be able to have your virginity in your late 20s on. It's actually admirable. The older I am now, and that I can look at it, to be able to hold those values and know what you want and be willing to wait for it. I respect that. I respect the shit out of that.
Well, that brings up
back then, though.
Yeah. Well, and I guess maybe the thing that I did research in addition to that is that the primary reason is religious reasons.
Yeah.
But there's also fear of STDs.
Mm-hmm.
There is the low self-esteem of someone. Someone's self-esteem is low.
Yeah.
Which, that attracts.
That happens.
That attracts rejection when you have low self-esteem. People sense it.
Oh, yeah. You get the stench.
Fear of STDs is a big one.
Yeah.
And then some people did report that, if you were sexually abused as a child.
Yeah, I can see how that would put you off from actually wanting to engage in a relationship with physical activity.
It would be hard to be intimate.
Yeah.
But religious, like you said, if someone is, this person's in their 30s, and this person, when I asked them about, why has it not happened for you, the answer was, I can only give it once, so I want it to be
special.
Perfect. I want it to be special.
Yeah.
So the question that started this whole podcast for me was, if you met a girl and was attracted to the girl, and she told you that she was still a virgin, and let's say she was in her late 20s, early 30s, how would you handle that? Would that be a deal breaker for you?
No. I want to sit here and be the bigger man and say no, but as everything in life, it depends on the situation. Everything's situational. Now, if you connect with that person on a different level, and that person becomes your best friend, that person becomes everything you've ever wanted in someone, but they're going to leave the sex until marriage in your late 20s and your 30s on and above. As much as I respect that, man, you have to, and I don't want to be crass about it, but sometimes you have to test drive before you buy,
Well, like we've talked about before, if you're a virgin, you don't know the difference, right?
Yeah.
So you lying there could be the greatest experience of your life.
No, technically, sexually, that it is.
Well, and I would say this, though, that I'm sure for this person, it'll be an emotional connection.
Yeah.
That'll make the sex
I think
better,
once
right?
you get to that level, that age level, it's going to be that emotional connection that drives it. Because if you're not going to wait that long unless you want that kind of emotional connection, something that you can bond with that person while you're doing it.
In your experiences, did you ever experience a virgin yourself? Like, did you ever have sex with a virgin?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But technically so was I. So.
Oh, okay. So it was your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I had one encounter where a girl really liked me. I was a year older than her, but she really liked me. And I found out that she was a virgin. And I couldn't bring myself to do it. I figured you'd waited 19 years.
Why she wasted on you?
No, just I didn't feel comfortable taking it because I wanted it to be special for her.
I got you, yeah.
Now, in hindsight, I should have thought, she does think it's special. That's why she's chosen me to give it to. And so now I wonder what ever happened to her, because I never talked to her again about it. But the point is,
when you reject somebody, you reject them.
But
hit the bricks, toots. You're out.
But the point is I did have the experience, only one experience, and I didn't do it because I thought that she waited. And if someone in their 30s told me that they had waited, I feel myself, I would have to ask myself if I'm really dedicated to be with this person, because if you waited that long, I mean,
that's a one partner for life. Like, you're waiting until the right one comes along, and you don't want to be the one that fucks that up.
Not to mention that, what if I'm so good that then she comes stalker crazy?
I mean, well, why wouldn't she?
I guess we don't have to worry.
You don't have to worry about that. You're a taken man. So
well, no, we don't have to worry because I'm not that great.
Exactly. And I that's what it comes down to for me. Every relationship is situational. I mean, you have to weigh the pros and cons, whether you're thinking about it at the time. You have to weigh the pros and cons of sleeping with somebody. And if they're a virgin, that adds a surmountable amount of pressure to everything too, because they want to wait for the right person at that point. Like you said earlier, they want that emotional connection, and you have to weigh the fact of if you are that person, you have to be willing to be in that for the long haul potentially. Because if you're just going to be a hit it and quit it type guy and take it from her, that's messed up, man. And that's not fair to her. And that kind of karma coming back on you is not something I want to deal with.
That's true. That's a good point. Does it say anything in your mind that this person is in her 30s and is still a virgin?
No.
Does that put a... How about this? If you were in your 20s, if you were 28 years old and you met a girl who was 28 and was still a virgin, would that put any doubt in your mind about the kind of person she was, or whether or not she was a problem child?
I think if
we have the dogs going crazy,
knock it off.
I'll make sure to edit that.
Yeah, knock your shit off. Edit that part out.
That part will be edited.
No, I think it comes down to being situational. I think every situation is different. And if you're 28 and you meet a 28-year-old that's also a virgin, if you have that connection, you have that bond, because at that point you're looking for someone to settle down with. And marriage is a whole other topic for another day, one that I can't speak to because I've never been married, in my age. But you're
I've been married twice.
You're twice, so maybe it's a different counterpoint. But if you're a 28-year-old and you meet if you don't mind it, I encourage it, man. Go for it. Build that relationship. See where it takes you, because that has to be your best friend at that point.
I see. And being a best friend will make the sex, when it does happen, that much pure, that much better.
Well, it goes back to that emotional connection. Like, in theory, when you get married, you're marrying your best friend. You're marrying the person you want to spend every day with, regardless, whether they love you or they hate you that day. They chose to be with you.
And if you're friends with someone who is still a virgin, then you know that you're not meeting them just because they have a great body. They're not
their personality is mind blowing or whatever else. You're with them because you actually love them as a person. So when you do have relations, it's that much more special, and it has that much more emotion built into it. I mean, but to walk up and find out that she's a virgin, and then, like I said, you do your thing, and then you're out. Man, that's messed up.
Okay.
I mean, you have to use your conscience at some point here.
So, Scott, you're single. I know a girl. Just kidding.
Wow. Way to put me on the spot here on Liquid Carnage.
Hey, man, what a friend you are, though, man. You'll get to know them. No, I'm just kidding. How would you define virginity? It's breaking the vaginal seal. Is that, like, if you do everything else but don't have intercourse, are you still a virgin?
I guess technically.
Okay.
I guess you are.
Technically, so
I mean, if you're going by the book, yeah. But if you've done everything else, it's like training camp in football. You've done everything but play the real game.
Well, all I know is that, you don't have to ever, you could still be a virgin and yet be like the greatest lover in other areas. So I guess I didn't ask that question because I really didn't feel like I could broach that subject.
There's only a certain point you can ask these questions to with this person before it starts getting a little weird, because after you cross that line, like, how interested are you in pursuing this questioning even further? Because you just can't at that point. You have to respect the fact that she's a virgin and she's going to do what she's going to do.
Well, and there's the thing. I mean, in Brazil, I've heard stories that women, to maintain their virginity before marriage, they'll still do anal sex all day long, and it's not considered. They're still considered virgins when they get married.
I feel like that's the loophole clause. I feel like that's a serious loophole.
Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively. I feel like that's a loophole in the system, and maybe they're looking at it from a religious standpoint, but I would not consider them a virgin.
We can call this episode the tight loophole.
yeah, right.
Wow.
With my luck, this is the one episode my parents will listen to, and then I'll never want to listen to another one again.
Oh God, I know.
Oh.
Yeah. But sexual intercourse obviously is doing everything. It can't be, I did not have sexual relations with.
Yeah,
that
you
woman.
can't Bill Clinton it. I think you have to go by the traditional standpoint of what sex is.
Yeah.
And
why do you think our society puts such emphasis on sex and being sexual and overtly sexual in some of these commercials and some of these TV shows?
It sells.
It
sells.
Why?
Because it makes a person feel good about themselves. Whether it's true self-esteem or fake self-esteem, it's that momentary high of everybody
who's feeling good about themselves. I look at my physique, and I don't have a great physique. I'm healthy for the most part, but I don't have a great physique. And when I see a TV show or an ad with these guys that are all Adonis and all these hot chicks, want them and want to throw themselves at them, how is that helping my self-esteem? That might help his self-esteem. It's not helping mine.
Were you just watching a screen full of dudes, or were there women involved that were on the same level?
There's a show that I don't know the name of it, but basically it's where a bunch of singles get on an island and they it's like an MTV show or something like that. And all these young 20-somethings are sitting there, drinking, partying, and
First off, I don't understand MTV anymore. Anyway, once they quit playing videos, I don't know what this crap is, all right? So I can't answer to that. But if you're talking about like The Bachelor or something like that, where that's common pop culture, I don't get it. But sex sells, and people want to look at pretty people, and people want to think that they have a chance with that pretty person, whether they do or they don't. It's all up in your mind. And
so, if I'm a virgin, is that more pressure to cave and to do it, or is it less pressure because I don't want to be like that? I'm doing it for a different reason.
I think the older you get, the more pressure gets on there. I think unless you're completely comfortable with who you are and know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, I think all the pressure in the world gets to you when you get to that point, and you could overthink it.
And I think that like this person realizes that while her virginity is very important to her, I think she realizes it's hard to find someone who is also willing to wait and be patient with the courtship and then the potential marriage and finding the right person. So there's pressure all the way around on them and the person that she's going to eventually date. Hopefully she finds someone who appreciates her values or maybe has the same value.
I will say, though, that as we get older in life, most of us have had a relationship that has, I don't know, be rude about it, but broken us, where we thought that everything was going to be perfect with this person, and then it turns out it's not, and it completely wrecks the world we thought we were going to have, and we have to start over. And when we start over in that world, everything we thought we wanted goes out the door. So to have an opportunity with someone that wants to have that connection, that knows what they want, some guys might jump all over that as long as that woman is willing to accept the fact that the person she's with has their own baggage, but that doesn't change how he feels about her.
Yeah, that's a good point. You never have to worry about, I don't have to think about the guys that she's had sex with, whereas when you've been with someone who gives you that experience level, you also realize they gain that experience somehow.
But at that same level, I mean, if you're with somebody you care about, if you love them, it doesn't matter if people have had sex with. When you
date a girl, her past is her past.
Exactly.
Unless she works with the guy that's part of her past, then it's a problem. I don't care, but you talk to him again, I'll kill you.
Yeah, right. Like that's not going to work. No, I think anytime you're in a relationship, what you've done in the past is done. You cannot change it. You have to accept the fact that it happened and hope that they learn from it. And I've been through that where I've dated women and they're like, well, you need to know this is what's happened. This is what I've done. And my response is pretty much the same. It's like, I don't care what you've done because I wasn't a part of that. That didn't affect me. So what you've done in the past does not affect me and will not affect me. It's what you do with me while we're together that affects my decision and my feelings about you. And
by that logic, if I'm really with you and I'm in a relationship and we do finally have sexual relations, it is going to be like the first time. It will be because it's a different experience with you, and we can enjoy something different and exciting and something that makes it special. You get to find
and explore those things together, and that's a much better thing than some drunken hookup that happens so frequently, these days.
And I think that's what it is. I mean, when people go to a bar, I think a lot of guys just expect that. Oh, well, if I start talking to a girl we're gonna hook up.
Yeah.
Now, and I live in a small town. We live in Kingman, so. I'm sure in the big cities, though, the fast pace, everything's going. There is a sense that I need to have the good job. I need to have the good car because I'm probably going to be an eligible bachelor or a bachelorette.
Well, it's a bigger pool. You have to maintain the lifestyle that you're showing. You have to be that person you're putting out there. And it doesn't matter what age you are at that point. If you're fake, that gets fleshed out soon enough. Doesn't matter if you're in a small town, a mid-sized town, or a big city. Fake is fake. So you have to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk.
Well, and virginity is one of those things too, where it's not going to be a quick hit it and quit it kind of thing. No, you're not gonna. You're gonna have to put the time in. You're gonna have to put the energy in. You're gonna have to. You're not gonna be true to this person.
You're not gonna meet this girl at a bar on a Friday night and expect to take her home. It doesn't work that way. If this girl's a virgin, she's gonna be very particular about what she's doing, and I'm gonna bet she's not the one that's going out to the bars every weekend trolling for dudes.
That's a good point.
And you're not gonna find her in this place. You might find her with her group of friends, but you won't find her out there hoping to meet the man of her dreams that's buying her shots of Fireball at 1 a.m.
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, when you look at it, how often let's say that you have waited and you're tired of waiting.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well,
so you're saying you've given up at that point.
How do I put myself out there to say I'm done with waiting? I just want to get this thing done and over with. I mean, it's such a weird. To me, it was gone so long ago for me that it doesn't even register that would be an issue.
Yeah.
It doesn't even register that would be an issue because it was gone so long ago. It was taken so quickly.
Well, that's an age thing too. I think if you get to a point where like, all right, I have to get this out of the way. There are a few ways you can handle that, but at the end of the day, and I've said this no matter what walk of life you're in or what you're going through, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and know that you are the person you want to be, and whether it's professionally, personally, what have you. If you don't like who you're looking at when you look in the mirror, you got to change some stuff. You have to take a deep, hard look at yourself. And if you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't like the fact that you're a virgin in this case, then you have to make some choices as to why you're a virgin, whether it's religion or what other values you're holding so close to it. And some people, maybe it's just not a choice. And I don't want to be rude about it, but some people just don't Maybe they're shy, maybe they're shut-ins, maybe they're afraid. There's a whole other slew of things we haven't talked about.
Like I said, STDs would be scary. Maybe they're afraid of getting hurt. Maybe they've had bad relationship and they're afraid of getting hurt and they don't want to risk that.
Yeah.
Maybe they focus on their career. Maybe they focus on, becoming educated, and that's just not a priority. The other thing I think about too, there's a lot of people that don't put that much effort into thinking about sex. It's not a prime driver like it is for you and me. I mean, it's not.
Thanks for putting us in that category. Hi, I'm here to get laid. That's what two middle-aged men, the podcaster. That's their main driver right there. This isn't cathartic. This is so we can get out there and meet the ladies.
Maybe it's not a prime driver like it is for you. That was the comment of the day so far.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, big question.
Uh-huh.
We'll wrap it up with these two questions.
Okay.
These will be our ending topic points.
Okay.
Now that you know what you know today, 36,
Mm-hmm.
would you have waited a little longer, or would you have kept your virginity longer if you had to go back and do it again?
Well, like I said, I was a late bloomer anyway, so I didn't exactly have, women knocking down my door. Not that they're doing that now, but I couldn't get girls to talk to me at that age. I was just awkward. I was a very, 18, teenagers are so awkward for anyway. So I'd love to say, yeah, I'd have done it sooner, but just because I said it doesn't mean it's actually what would have happened. And I could have said, yeah, I would love to have waited longer, but I was with my girlfriend at the time.
How long were you guys together?
A couple years. We were through college and all that.
So wait, what I mean is, how long were you guys together before you lost your virginity?
Oh, well, see, we were best friends through our whole senior year and through some of college, and then we crossed that bridge. And
okay. So were you dating and then crossed, or were you crossed and then dating?
We were dating and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you waited a few months.
It's been 18 years, man. It's half my life. A lot's gone on since then. A lot's gone on.
So if you had to do it over again today, you would do what?
I don't think I'd have changed a thing.
Okay.
I often go back and say, if I could go back to college and know what I know now, I would have lived college differently. But that aspect,
the virginity, waiting till you were married.
I am much happier with the fact that it was with someone I cared about, someone that I trusted and I loved. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with the way it happened. Okay. I think it's good. It's a sweet story. If I've ever had kids, I could tell them that. But my dogs don't want to listen to it right now. So
yeah. I think the only thing that I would have changed is, looking back now, I definitely would have waited. I would have waited until...
You would have taken up hunting first?
No, because, and you got to remember, too, there was 16, 19, and then lots in 21.
Yeah.
So there was
like
3 years,
duck,
then once.
Duck, goose.
Yeah, 3 years, then once, one person, and we were dating, and it resulted in my oldest daughter.
So that's one time. You had sex with that woman one time.
No. We were dating. We were dating, and we had
Okay.
relations, and we.
That's my question. The way it sounds is like
it was not one time.
You had a one-time thing, and you got the grand prize out of that.
I could honestly say that would be bad if because there are some people out there who they waited, they wait, they have sex one time,
and then boom,
and then they're pregnant.
Yeah.
And that happens, and I think that would be hard pill for me to swallow, to say that I lost my virginity and had a baby, and I'm not with this person, which it is known to happen from time to time. But I think if I were doing it again, I would wait. I would have not done it at 16 because frankly
Listen, at 16, you're a dumb kid. You don't know what the hell's going on at 16.
This person was not anyone special to me.
Yeah.
I was physically attracted to the person, so I guess I had that going for me, and I guess I should feel thankful that she even wanted to. I should feel thankful about that. But in the whole scheme of things,
I don't think that feeling ever actually goes away.
Yeah.
The fact that they still want to have sex with you, even when you're in a relationship, is...
I guess I would have wished I could have waited a little bit. I wish I could have waited.
Now, what was the other question you had with that?
Oh, the final question is, what would you tell a young adult today?
What age?
They're 15.
15.
Because to me, 17 seems like a low number, but you're right. There are people who are having kids at 12, 13 years old.
Man, I just tell them, don't be dumb about it. There's so much information out there. Don't rush it. Just... what's the hurry? What is the hurry? To get it out of the way so you know what it feels like?
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's... I understand the first time's your big deal, but make sure it's worthwhile and not just something you're going to do to get out of the way. And then be smart about it. Don't be stupid.
Well, I mean, when you say that, though, I mean, I'm a 15-year-old girl or boy, it doesn't matter. Obviously, girls have it tougher because the ramifications to a girl... is a lot more than the ramification. We learned that in this society.
And I can't even...
Men can walk away pretty easily without any sort of responsibility to the girl, whereas girls, if they make one mistake, it affects them for the rest of their lives.
And I can't even fathom...
And I hate saying that, but that's the truth.
I can't even fathom with the pressure that these kids have them on just sex, period, because it's so readily available on the internet, on TV, anywhere you go. It's such a sexually driven society. I don't envy the pressure that these kids have, and you don't have the tools yet to be able to deal with that. So it becomes a hypersexualized society that's saying you need to do this, you need to do this. And that can make a kid break if he's not strong enough.
Well, and think about it. How many of these younger kids get told, I'm not pretty enough, I don't do what all the other girls do.
Exactly.
So
or I don't do what
I'm not, so I have no value because this person doesn't like me because I'm a virgin.
Or the locker room talking, the men's room, it's, the guy's locker room, it's, oh, guess what I did this week? You can't buy into that, man. You just got to, I guess if I had to give any kid advice, it'd be, man, you just got to be you. And I know you don't know who you are totally right now, but you have a good idea who you are. So just stick to that and do what you think is right. And if you're going to do it, I can't stop you, but be smart about it. Be safe. Yeah. And make sure it's with someone that's going to, be just as smart about it too.
For me, I would definitely...
And don't do it drunk.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that age, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. But I would definitely say that the experience... If you don't do it for the right reasons, it can be very unsatisfying.
Yeah,
physically,
very hollow.
Physically, it might be very satisfying, but most of the experiences, at least from my experience, the 20 seconds of satisfaction was not worth the lack of a connection, the lack of a person.
Yeah, but that's what you find later on in life. You don't realize it's a hollow feeling. That at that age, at a young age, it takes experience and actual feelings to understand what hollow feelings are versus what real feelings are sexually. And that's what you have to explain to those kids too. Is there's a big difference between what you think you're going to feel versus what you actually feel. You just don't know it because you haven't learned that difference yet.
Well, and wrapping this whole story up, I mean, I'm looking at this woman who is a successful person, very intelligent. She's smart. She's pretty. I mean, she's not an ugly person. If she is able, and when she is able to find that one guy, she will be able to say that I waited for the right person. Even if the person's not the right person, she'll know that I gave it to at least someone that I can respect, and I can, put that on my own life value, that I waited for at least the person who I thought was the right person.
I agree. I think no matter what, when you get to that point, you're going to make the right decision for you. You're not going to feel rushed because you felt that pressure. So you're gonna do what is best for you, and nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
So that's a great conversation today. If you want to leave us any feedback, comments, you can find us at Liquid Carnage on Twitter, Liquid Carnage on Facebook. We have an Instagram account. Drop us a line. Tell us your thoughts. Just say hi.
We'd love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you guys.
Hey,
our fan base is growing. We see it all the time, but no one wants to talk to us. So don't be afraid to get out there and say hi. Give us your opinion. Tell us we suck. Tell us you want to punch Jason in the throat, or you want me to shut my mouth half the time.
And if there's a guy out there that's looking for a professional woman who's got a quirky sense of humor, tweet us, man. I will get you in contact, and just realize this person is a top-notch person. So don't give me any riffraff.
Hey, man, we're not a dating service here, okay? We're
dating.
We're sticking to podcasts right now.
Then you know what? Comment on our podcast. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Jason.
I'm Scott.
And as always, thanks for listening. And if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.